Topic 1. England's Imperial Stirrings. 1. North America in the 1600s was largely unclaimed, though the Spanish had much control in Central and South America. 2. Spain had only set up Santa Fe, while France had founded Quebec and Britain had founded Jamestown. 3. In the 1500s, Britain failed to effectively colonize due to internal conflicts. King Henry VIII broke with the Roman Catholic Church in the 1530s and launched the English Protestant Reformation. After Elizabeth I became queen, Britain became basically Protestant, and a rivalry with Catholic Spain intensified. In Ireland, the Catholics sought Spain's help in revolting against England, but the English crushed the uprising with brutal atrocity and developed an attitude of sneering contempt for natives. Topic 2. Elizabeth energizes England. After Francis Drake pirated Spanish ships for gold, then circumnavigated the globe, Elizabeth I knighted him on his ship. Obviously, this reward angered the Spanish, who sought revenge. 2. Meanwhile, English attempts at colonization in the New World failed embarrassingly. Notable of these failures was Sir Walter Raleigh and the Roanoke Island Colony, better known as the Lost Colony. 3. Seeking to get their revenge, Spain attacked Britain but lost in the Spanish Armada's defeat of 1588. This opened the door for Britain to cross the Atlantic. They swarmed to America and took over the lead in colonization and power. Victory also fueled England to new heights due to strong government, more religious unity, a sense of nationalism, the golden age of literature, Shakespeare, beginning of British dominance at sea, which lasts until U.S. tops them around 1900. Britain and Spain finally signed a peace treaty in 1604. Topic 3. England on the eve of the empire. 1. In the 1500s, Britain's population was mushrooming. 2. New policy of enclosure, which means fencing in land, for farming. This meant there was less land for the poor. 3. The woolen districts fell upon hard times economically. This meant the workers lost jobs. 4. Tradition of primogeniture means firstborn son inherits all father's land. Therefore, younger sons of rich folks who couldn't inherit money tried their luck with fortunes elsewhere, like in America. 5. By the 1600s, the joint stock company was preferred. Investors put money into the company with hopes for a good return. This eventually led to today's corporations. Topic 4. England plants the Jamestown seedling. 1. In 1606, the Virginia Company received a charter from King James I to make a settlement in the New World. Such joint stock companies usually did not exist long, as stockholders invested hopes to form the company, turn a profit, and then quickly sell for profit a few years later. 2. The charter of the Virginia Companies guaranteed settlers the same rights as Englishmen in Britain. 3. On May 24, 1607, about 100 English settlers disembarked from their ship and founded Jamestown. 40 colonists had perished during the voyage. Problems emerged, including the swampy site of Jamestown meant poor drinking water and mosquitoes causing malaria and yellow fever. Men wasted time looking for gold rather than doing useful tasks, such as digging wells, building shelter, and planting crops. There were 0 women on the initial ship. It didn't help that a resupply ship shipwrecked in the Bahamas in 1609 either. 4. Luckily, in 1608, Captain John Smith took over control and whipped the colonists into shape. At one point, he was kidnapped by local Indians and forced into a mock execution by the chief Powhatan, and had been saved by Powhatan's daughter, Pocahontas. The act was meant to show that Powhatan wanted peaceful relations with the colonists. John Smith's main contribution was that he gave order and discipline, highlighted by his no work, no food policy. 5. Colonists had to eat cats, dogs, rats, even other people. One fellow wrote of eating powdered wife. 6. Finally, in 1610, a relief party headed by Lord de la Warr arrived to alleviate the suffering. 7. By 1625, out of an original overall total of 8,000 would-be settlers, only 1,200 had survived. Topic 5. Cultural class in the Chesapeake. 1. At first, Powhatan possibly considered the new colonists potential allies and tried to be friendly with them, but as time passed and colonists raided Indian food supplies, relations deteriorated and eventually war occurred. 2. The First Anglo-Powhatan War ended in 1614 with a peace settlement sealed by the marriage of Pocahontas to colonist John Rolfe. Rolfe and Pocahontas nurtured a favorable flavor of sweet tobacco. 3. 8 years later, in 1622, the Indians struck again with a series of attacks that left 347 settlers, including John Rolfe, dead. 4. The Second Anglo-Powhatan War began in 1644 and ended in 1646, and effectively banished the Chesapeake Indians from their ancestral lands. 5. After the settlers began to grow their own food, the Indians were useless and were therefore banished. Topic 6. Virginia, child of tobacco. 1. Jamestown gold is found, and it is tobacco. Rolfe's sweet tobacco was sought as a cash crop by Europe. Jamestown had found its gold. Tobacco created a greed for land, since it heavily depleted the soil and ruined the land. 2. Representative self-government was born in Virginia, when in 1619 settlers created the House of Burgess, a committee to work out local issues. This set America on a pathway of self-rule. 3. The first African Americans to arrive in America also came in 1619. It's unclear if they were slaves or indentured servants. Topic 7. Maryland, Catholic haven. 1. Religious diversity. Founded in 1634 by Lord Baltimore, Maryland was the second plantation colony and the fourth overall colony to be formed. It was founded to be a place for prosecuted Catholics to find refuge or a safe haven. Lord Baltimore gave huge estates to his Catholic relatives, but the poor people who settled there were mostly Protestant, creating friction. 2. However, Maryland prospered with tobacco. 3. It had a lot of indentured servants. Only in the later years of the 1600s, in Maryland and Virginia, did black slavery begin to become popular. 4. Maryland's statute, the Act of Toleration, guaranteed religious toleration to all Christians, but decreed the death penalty to Jews and atheists and others who didn't believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ. Topic 8. The West Indies, way station to mainland America. 1. As the British were colonizing Virginia, they were also settling into the West Indies. Spain's declining power opened the door. 2. By the mid-1600s, England had secured claim to several West Indies islands, including Jamaica in 1655. 3. They grew lots of sugar on brutal plantations there. 4. Thousands of African slaves were needed to operate sugar plantations. At first, Indians were intended to be used, but disease killed an estimated 90% of all Native Americans, so Africans were brought in. 5. To control so many slaves, codes were set up that defined the legal status of slaves and the rights of the masters. They were typically strict and exacted severe punishment for offenders. Topic 9. Colonizing the Carolinas. 1. In England, King Charles I had been beheaded. Oliver Cromwell had ruled for 10 very strict years before tired Englishmen restored King Charles II to the throne in the Restoration. After all the turmoil of civil war, they just went back to a king. 2. The bloody period had interrupted colonization. 3. Carolina was named after Charles II and was formally created in 1670. 4. Carolina flourished by developing close economic ties with the West Indies due to the port of Charleston. 5. Many original Carolina settlers had come from Barbados and brought in the strict slave codes for ruling slaves. 6. Interestingly, Indians as slaves in Carolina were protested, but to no avail. Slaves were sent to the West Indies to work, as well as New England. 7. Rice emerged as the principal crop in Carolina. African slaves were hired to work on rice plantations due to A. their resistance to malaria and, just as importantly, their familiarity with rice. 8. Despite violence with Spanish and Indians, Carolina proved to be too strong to be wiped out.